Have you ever been turned down for a mortgage? Well, I'm Raul Jimenez with the Schrader Group, and this is Cleo Garza with Summit Funding, who is known locally for saving deals. And we're here to help you guys get into your dream home today. Welcome. Let's get into it. But tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I've been in a mortgage banker now since the early 2000s. Born and raised San Antonio. Love what I do. And yeah, it's been a great time.
What got you in the mortgage business?
Really an accident. I was in IT sales in the 90s. And one of my vertical accounts that I had to target was the banking sector. And I was, at the same time, I was getting my degree in banking and finance. So it was just a progression, and then one of my biggest clients was at the time World Savings. And as I got to know some of their leadership and they got to know me, they said, hey, you really should come over here and try this. And so that's how I got started. I was really on the secondary banking industry. We bought loans.
Mhm.
That was kind of my deal,
Right.
selling our products. So that's what we did.
So, well, that's a great story. And for some of our folks back at home, they're worried about filling out an application because they're going to get turned down or they just don't know what to do. What are some of the typical turn down reasons or the reasons why people can't get a mortgage?
So I'll tell you that in some cases perhaps it is something with them.
Okay.
It could be a credit score issue. It could be an income issue. It just depends. Every buyer's like a snowflake. They all have their own design.
Right.
So in the cases where I'm able to save a loan or save the deal, it could be that the lender that we're working with has what's called an overlay.
Okay.
We can talk about that a little later. Or the buyer just has something that they can't seem to get through or over, if you will, whether it's credit score or explaining their income.
Gotcha. So we work with a lot of clients, and sometimes we have clients that don't necessarily have bad credit; they just don't have any credit. So, like, what can you do to help? Because if they go to file for an application, they're gonna get turned down, or else they don't have any history. So, what can you do specifically to help them out, or even if they have bad credit, how can you guys help?
Okay, let's talk about the people with no credit.
Okay.
No credit scores. So if you don't have a credit score, that's better than having a credit score. That's easily fixed. Okay. So we can do that with alternative trade lines, verifying that they pay utilities, cell phone bills, things like that. These on a regular basis. And that helps. We can do that. And that's a file that we can work with.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question about people who have low credit scores, the one thing that I can tell you about that in particular, demographic or that portion of buyers out there is if they have really bad scores, then what I'll do is I'll help them fix it.
Okay.
And I'll give you two quick success stories. In the past 12 months, I helped one buyer get their scores up. This is my all-time record.
There you go. I like records.
Just from a 574 to a 678. Okay.
574 to a 678.
104 points. And then 2 months ago, I helped a buyer, and we got her scores up 101 points on one bureau.
Really?
So, and we don't farm it out. There's no credit repair company. There was something that we do internally to help our clients and to get their scores up so they can qualify.
Well, and you've been doing this for so long, you could look at a credit pool and see exactly what's happening and be like, hey, if you just did this, we could get you bumped up or, work with me a little bit. And what I like about your success stories is you're just not turning them down and saying, sorry, come back when you fix it. You're actually guiding them through the process. And so sometimes we get turned down for, whether we're trying to get like a pre-existing home, and sometimes they go the new builder route, and sometimes their overlays, like you were talking about, are a little bit tighter. So sometimes you guys can come in and help out. And can you explain kind of the differences between what your overlays are and break it down a little bit for the folks?
Sure. So an overlay by definition is essentially an additional set of rules that a mortgage bank, when we say overlay in our industry, overlay is basically a mortgage bank or a mortgage company that, recognizes, of course, all the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA rules, right? And then on top of that mortgage company may have an additional layer because, Fannie and Freddie, they don't lend the money, they just, provide the guidelines. And of course, the other agencies just insure the loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so an overlay is where, let's just say, I'll give you an example. There may be a requirement for a buyer to have been in a job, the same job in the past 2 years, and but there's no continuity, or perhaps there is a gap in employment. Well, there's guidelines that work around that. Okay, so that could be an overlay. Whereas like FHA, they really have like a 6-month window of employment gap.
Right.
VA really has no set guideline on it, but the lender, the mortgage company, or let's say the in-house lender for a builder, they may say can't have any gaps at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their overlay.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just they just have a window that they got to resell it to the secondary market.
Right.
So they just want clean files. So sometimes you could be that, no fear with Cleo, right?
Right.
And you could kind of come in and save the day.
No fear with Cleo.
No fear with Cleo, right? And save the day and kind of give them options to where they wouldn't maybe have, if you want this house, it's, oh, you make enough money, but because of X, Y, and Z, we can't help you. Well, you could come in, and sometimes you could also get some of the OSL, outside lender incentives to help out with them, so they're saving money along the way.
Correct. Another important overlay. This is San Antonio, right? This is military town, USA, and I know you guys do a lot of stuff with veterans.
We do.
So one thing that I think is really important. Let's just give you an example of an overlay that exists with a lot of mortgage companies. But let's just say you have a veteran who's already out of the service, and he's 100% disabled, right? So when you have someone who's 100% disabled vet, they don't pay any property taxes,
right?
Mm-hmm. So other lenders will say, well, we get that, we see the letter from the VA, we know you're not going to pay any property taxes in the state of Texas, but we're going to qualify you with property taxes anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't do that. And we can actually close escrow without property taxes and impounds for that veteran.
So talking about VA, right, because I think that's a big topic for us. How quickly can you close a deal? Because I know that sometimes people are like, oh, it's going to take 45 days. But the truth is it's probably not that long. Okay. And you're able to kind of push the paperwork a little bit faster because you all at Summit Funding have everything internalized.
We do. So 2 quick success stories. I closed someone recently, and these are both builder deals that were turned down.
Okay.
By the in-house lender. Recently, one in 15 days and one in 11 days.
Wow. I mean, even on the regular market, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
So
I will say, though, this is my little asterisk, my little get out of jail free card here. Can't close every deal in 11 days. It was because we did have an appraisal in both cases.
Got you. Okay.
So, but if we did not have an appraisal, 18, 19, 20, 21 days.
That's not bad at all. And if you really think about it, sometimes the appraisal takes 2 weeks to get back. So in that mindset, it's not too bad. So for the folks back at home, let's just say they did get a denial. What would be some strategies or some tips to kind of be proactive as we're getting into the new year? And what should they be cautious about?
What I would do is stay away from, to be cautious about, let's start with that. That's a really good segue into what I'm thinking is really important. Don't try to fix this by yourself. Get help. You can call me anytime, reach out to me, schedule an appointment. Via in person, I prefer, or Zoom is fine. But I would say don't just have anyone help you with credit repair. My experience with credit repair isn't the best. I prefer to just help them myself. On a rare occasion, I will refer them out to someone that I know that I know, like, and trust, and they're local.
Well, and that's the big part of it, right? Because I've worked with a lot of people that said, yeah, I have this guy, I've been paying him, $200 a month for X amount of time and nothing's happened.
Right.
And sometimes it's just a quick check for somebody else. But going with someone like you said, is always easier, because then if they say, hey, we'll fix it in 3 months, you could kind of do the math and say, we'll be plus or minus about that time.
Well, actually, getting back to the time frame. So I've helped someone fix their credit, and we're doing one. Actually, we got it done this coming Monday. It was actually a veteran, and we just needed to get him over a certain number so that we can pursue a certain product, which is a Texas Veterans Land Board. It's a bond program. And so we got him to that point, and we're closing this month.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that credit score increase happened in about 8 days.
Wow.
From the time that we told the client, this is what needs to happen, we got the information back from him, and we resubmitted it through the agencies to get it rescored.
Like a rapid rescore.
Correct.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I mentioned it earlier, but one of the biggest questions we get is, I'm scared. I don't know what the first step is. And we talked a lot about it today, but I always say, get on the phone with the lender. I mean, Cleo, you've been doing this for a long, long time. What can you tell them that, put the fear aside? I mean, how can you get them comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. So Yeah, people are worried, they're scared, they're in fear mode. Sometimes maybe a little embarrassed, sure, and that's okay. But my encouragement to anybody who wants to do this and allow me to help them buy a home is call me first. The best thing to do is call me so we can have a really good conversation. I'm a big note taker. I'm a fierce note taker, and I retain a lot of it. So that helps me understand their situation, and it helps me determine whether I can help them or not. And from there, we can determine, the next best steps. And so when someone is in fear mode because they've been turned down or they don't know what they qualify for, I got to tell you, if that person wants to buy a home, there's nothing that they can't overcome, right, to buy a home. So, I think the most important thing is to schedule time to visit with me over the phone and in person if they can. So I can really take good care of them. So, and everything's confidential. I can't share anything about their situation to anybody else that's against the law. Okay. So, I think the desire to own a home, it should be bigger than any fear that you have. So don't let that stop you. Right.
Well, there you have it. Thank you, Cleo Garza.
Yeah.
With Summit Funded. If you found this video useful, please like and share and subscribe to our channel. For all other real estate expert advice, please tune in. And thank you all. Have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.